Speaking of the former president, Donald Trump is just hours away from hosting an event in Florida that will play a major factor in helping him decide who his next vice presidential nominee will be. At least 6 contenders are attending the Republican donor retreat, with names such as senators like Tim Scott, J.D. Vance, Marco Rubio, Congresswoman Elise Stefanik, and governors Doug Burgum and Kristi Noem, who's been in the news a lot in the past few days. NewsNation's Joe Khalil is live in Palm Beach, Florida, with the sun coming up behind you, my friend. So, Joe, taking a look at that list of contenders, pretty impressive. How will this all unfold?
Yeah, and look, technically this weekend is billed as a donor retreat. And we know, actually just found out, that Donald Trump is going to be addressing a big room of those donors and attendees at noon today at Mar-a-Lago. The reason we're talking about sweepstakes is because in attendance, and NewsNation scooped the guest list, is almost literally every single person who has been rumored to be on that short list for his running mate. You see the list right here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 across the board. These are some of the most talked about names, from Senators Scott and Vance and Rubio to Congresswoman Stefanik and Governors Noem and now Doug Burgum. There are also others, like Congressman Byron Donalds, for example, who has been widely rumored and talked about, who is also going to be there. So you've got the Speaker of the House coming. It's a big event. You've got people running for Senate right now in battleground states. So really is a who's who in the sort of MAGA adjacent world and MAGA world, definitely. But yeah, the intrigue is there because we have even asked the campaign, is this an opportunity for some of these contenders to sort of prove themselves, to display their chops to Donald Trump directly? And short from telling us no, they actually sort of affirm that that is what this is. A campaign source told us that it is certainly an opportunity for some of the more dynamic leaders in our common sense movement to demonstrate winning messages. So, Hena, they're not shying away from the fact that this is going to be a chance for some of these people in the quote-unquote sweepstakes to literally prove themselves to Donald Trump directly. All of them, we are told, are going to be at Mar-a-Lago in some way, meeting with him in private and also in this general sense here.
Let's go back to Kristi Noem. Like I mentioned, a lot of us talking about her in the past few days. She's facing a ton of backlash after talking about shooting her dog in her new book. A lot of people not happy, both sides of the aisle. But do you think Trump will take this into consideration, this admission, this confession?
It seems like it's impossible not to take that into consideration, right? No one is pro shooting dog. So that's going to be a huge liability for her. It already is. She's getting a lot of pressure right now. She is in the hot seat. And when it rains, it pours. You're seeing a much higher level of scrutiny now on her. That story, that anecdote came from her book that's coming out soon. We're already seeing reporting now around that book in a number of outlets, poking holes at other stories and the credibility, and whether some of the other anecdotes in the book are even true or whether she embellished certain things. So I don't think this is going to be the end of what is a really rough news cycle for Kristi Noem. And the question is going to be whether she is able to weather that. Certainly she has a lot of MAGA bona fides, you might call them. You know, she has been the governor of South Dakota. She has been very popular in that movement among Trump supporters. She's been one of his most loyal supporters. I think if you factor in loyalty, that's probably right at the top of the list for Donald Trump when he considers who his running mate is going to be. But this is a really, really tough story for her to weather, and I'm not sure that she's going to get over it. Having said that, Hena, we haven't heard much from Donald Trump directly. He's not one to keep his feelings to himself. He hasn't said much, so that's a question for him. I imagine when he starts to do more availability and answer some questions, whether it's here or whether it's outside of court, he's going to get that question, and it'll be telling how he answers it.
And to your point, her book hasn't even come out, and she's backpedaling on a meeting with Kim Jong-un, and book hasn't even come out yet. Joe Khalil, live in Florida. We'll touch back with you throughout the morning. Thank you so much, my friend. Thanks for watching. Go to joinnn.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.